Gentlemen, the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries.
To Whip Clark, Chairman Aguilar, House Democrats, all those assembled, it's my honor and privilege to stand before you with the House Democratic Caucus, which has made clear from the very beginning of this Congress that we will put people over politics. And to do everything possible to find common ground whenever and wherever possible with our Republican colleagues in order to chart a bipartisan path forward to get things done for the American people. That's been our position from day one of this Congress, and it remains our position. Because we are here as members of the House of Representatives to make life better for everyday Americans, not play political games. House Democrats will continue to fight for lower costs, better paying jobs, safer communities, reproductive freedom, defend democracy, fix our broken immigration system, protect the right to vote, and build an economy that works for everyday Americans from the middle out and the bottom up. And we want to find a bipartisan path to reopening the House of Representatives so we can solve problems for the American people and stand with our friends like Israel and Ukraine and others throughout the free world. But the House Republican civil war continues to rage on, miring the Congress in chaos, dysfunction, and extremism. House Republicans have chosen to triple down on the chaos, triple down on the dysfunction, and triple down on the extremism. House Republicans have selected as their nominee to be the Speaker of the People's House the chairman of the Chaos Caucus, a defender in a dangerous way of dysfunction and an extremist extraordinaire. When we had a narrow majority under the last Congress, led by Speaker Pelosi in partnership with Senate Democrats under the leadership of President Joe Biden, we were able to pass bills to make a difference in the lives of the American people. House Democrats passed legislation to save the economy through the American Rescue Plan by putting shots in arms, money in pockets, and kids back in school, and allow America to be reopened as the strongest economy of any in the developed world. House Democrats were able to pass the bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act to fix our crumbling bridges, roads, tunnels, airports, our sewer and water systems, our mass transportation systems, and to ensure that there was high-speed internet access and clean water in every community. House Democrats, with our majority, were able to pass gun safety legislation for the first time in 30 years that will save lives. House Democrats were able to pass legislation to stand up for our veterans who were exposed to toxic substances, Agent Orange, and things to undermine their health, their safety, and well-being, and to provide millions of veterans with the health care they need to live the lives that they deserve. House Democrats were able to pass the CHIPS and Science Act to bring domestic manufacturing jobs back home to the United States of America. And House Democrats were able to pass the Inflation Reduction Act to strike a dramatic blow against the climate crisis, set our planet on a sustainable trajectory forward, lower energy costs, strengthen the Affordable Care Act, lower health care costs, and drive down the high price of life-saving prescription drugs for millions of Americans, including dropping the price of insulin from thousands of dollars a year to $35 a month for millions of Americans. That is the track record of legislative accomplishment under a House Democratic majority. House Republicans have just elected a Speaker nominee who in 16 years in this Congress hasn't passed a single bill because his focus has not been on the American people. His focus has been on peddling lies and conspiracy theories and driving division amongst the American people. House Republicans now have a choice. There are only two paths forward. On the one hand, House Republicans can continue to triple down on the chaos, the dysfunction, and the extremism that has been visited upon the American people as a result of the House Republican Civil War. On the other hand, traditional Republicans can break away from the extremism, partner with Democrats on an enlightened bipartisan path forward so we can end the recklessness and get back to doing the business of the American people. And Democrats are ready, willing, and able to get that done. Now my honor and privilege to yield to our distinguished Minority Whip, the Honorable Catherine Clark.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here with our entire Democratic caucus, with our chairman, Pete Aguilar, and our nominee for Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries. So what we're witnessing is that we have had 9 months since January of chaos and 2 weeks of absolute paralysis. House Republicans have a choice on how to move forward. They can join us, the Democrats, and choose bipartisanship and allow common sense to win the day, or they can double down on the extremism that has ground Congress and this House to a halt. With their nomination of Jim Jordan, they are choosing chaos. They are choosing even more gridlock, even more inaction in the time of immense and urgent challenges at home and abroad. Instead of choosing the American people, they are once again choosing Donald Trump. Pause and think about who they are rallying behind. Jim Jordan's own colleagues have called him a legislative terrorist. He has voted to ban abortion nationwide with no exceptions for rape or incest. He has voted to shut down the government and force our troops to work without pay. He has voted to gut Social Security and Medicare. He was directly involved in the right-wing coup that sought to overturn the 2020 election. At every single turn, Jim Jordan has prioritized politics, power, fear, division, and hate over the American people. He has used his committee gavel to advance right-wing conspiracies while undermining the very institution that he serves. And he will inflict even more harm if he is allowed to have the Speaker's gavel. Every Republican who casts their vote for him is siding with an insurrectionist against our democracy. But here's the good news. I want to thank my colleagues, those assembled behind me and others who have been here standing with the American people. These are the leaders who are standing for a bipartisan way forward. These are the leaders that have allowed us tonight to stand between Jim Jordan and the Speaker's gavel. Without their unity, without their commitment to the American people, the Republicans would have gone to the floor today and put an insurrectionist in the Speaker's chair. House Democrats are united because we stand for those values. We stand for the values of the American people, and we work every day to make those ideals of liberty and equality and justice for all realities. We believe in the reasons that we were sent here. We believe in raising the voices who don't often have them in the halls of power here in Congress. That is our unity, and that is why we are going to stand together behind someone who always puts the American people first, and that's our nominee for Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries. And now I am proud to introduce our caucus chair, an incredible leader for the people, Pete Aguilar.
Thank you so much to the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, to our Democratic whip, Catherine Clark, for their amazing leadership through these times. It's been 10 days without a Speaker of the House. And instead of pursuing a bipartisan path forward, House Republicans have chosen chaos over governing. We've offered them a solution to make the House work. We've pleaded with them to abandon extremism once and for all. But House Republicans are intent on doubling down and have chosen to nominate a vocal election denier in Jim Jordan, a man whose rhetoric and partisanship fomented the January 6th attack on this very building, on these very steps. A man who to this day has not answered for his role in that attack and refuses to comply with a lawful and legal subpoena by this body. Someone who ignored the powers of this body has no right to lead this chamber. Let me be clear. Jim Jordan is a threat to our democracy.
Yes, he is.
He has been a consistent threat to our national security as well. He's built a career opposing funding to help our friends and allies abroad, something so desperately needed in the House of Representatives right now to help Israel and Ukraine. He has one objective: hurt President Biden politically and help elect Donald Trump, no matter the cost to our country, no matter the cost to our democratic norms. Jim Jordan is a Donald Trump-endorsed MAGA darling. Republicans have a choice to make. They can bend a knee to the extremism that has plagued the House for the last 10 months, or they can join us. They can join us in a bipartisan path forward. Let's work together. Let's pass bills that improve the lives of everyday Americans. No default, no shutdown, and no more chaos. Thank you very much.